Joining us now, E.W. Jackson, running for U.S. Senate in Virginia. He's in a three-way Republican, very hotly contested primary. That'll be held on June 12th. Now, if you live in Virginia, you can vote in the primary if you're a registered voter. Doesn't matter what party you're from because there's no party affiliation. You show up, you vote, that's it. It's open. Anybody can do it. Obviously, though, this is a Republican primary. And joining us now, E.W. Jackson. Bishop Jackson, good to have you with us. It was great to see you last night. I got to sit at your table with your lovely bride. Thank you.
Well, thank you, John. It was good to see you, too. By the way, may I remind people that those of you who aren't registered to vote yet, you have until May 21st to do so in order to vote in the June 12th primary. And we are trying to register as many new voters as we can because, John, I really believe that we are facing an emergency. This is an existential threat not only to our Commonwealth, but to the President of the United States. We've got to get people elected who are running in the 7th, the 2nd, the 10th districts. And so we've got to have people turn out in unprecedented numbers, even bigger numbers than we did in 2017. So May 21st is the deadline for registering to vote.
May 21st. Vote registration deadline. You want to sign up before that. You know, the Democrats are signing up hundreds of people. Now, I just got to go straight out, EW. I underestimated your nomination candidacy in 2013, and you won that at the convention. Now, a lot of people are saying, yeah, that's a convention, but he can't win a primary. But I saw a lot of support for you at that Republican Party of Virginia dinner last night. And I see you building some momentum, and you told me in 2013 you were going to win. You're telling me now you're going to win. So I'm starting to be a believer. But let's talk about your race. Look, I mean, it's going to be tough beating Tim Kaine, right? I mean, he's got $17 million or something cash on hand. It'll raise all kinds of money. What are the stakes in this GOP nominating battle?
Well, always remember to boots beat bucks, and what we are doing is inspiring Virginians and leading a movement, and that's something Tim Kaine is incapable of doing. All he'll have is the Democrat machine, but he doesn't have the hearts of people, because I haven't met anybody who just loves Tim Kaine. He goes, oh, he's okay. And if you get a dynamic candidate out there competing with him and people see the alternative, I think that they will choose the alternative. So, yeah, look, we got a lot at stake. It's not just whether Tim Kaine goes back to the U.S. Senate. It's whether in the 7th District, where Dave Bratt is running, we re-elect a Republican, whether in the 10th District, where it seems to be between Barbara Comstock and Shaq Hill, we re-elect a Republican, and whether in the 2nd District with Scott Taylor, he's got an opponent there. But here again, we've got to re-elect Republicans to these seats. If we lose the House, I really believe this, John. If we lose the House, the president will be impeached, and we may be the only thing standing in the way of that happening. And so we've got to make sure we nominate a candidate who is capable of bringing new voters into the process and really creating a movement, a wave that stops us from hemorrhaging and losing 3 congressional seats. And all of those congressional seats, I think most people would agree, they are all vulnerable, and we can't afford to lose them. I think I'm the candidate who will bring new voters to the process and who will excite people and get people involved. And I'm sure my friend Corey will understand me saying this. I beat Corey Stewart before. People need to remember that. We all ran in a convention. Yes, it was a convention, but he ran statewide just like I ran statewide. I came in first, he came in third. So if you're going to start putting your money on a horse, you might want to consider the one who's already won.
Well, not only did you come in first, but you got something like 30, 40%, 39 or 40% on the first ballot, which shocked everybody. And then it was basically fait accompli after they went through the process there. But look, E.W. Jackson, you're an underdog candidate, but you do make a good point. And I agree with you totally on this. If the Democrats take over the House of Representatives, they're going to do 2 things. The first thing they're going to do is repeal your tax cut. That's the first thing they're going to do.
Yep.
The second thing they're going to do is they're going to start impeachment hearings, and they're going to impeach the president within 90 days. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter if there's charges or not, right? I mean, you look at the investigations going on now and out of troll special counsel. Now they're investigating the Access Hollywood tapes. I mean, this whole thing is asinine. It's a witch hunt. They're trying to destroy this presidency. So you know that if the Democrats take over, Trump is going to get impeached in 90 days. No question. You know, the question becomes when you're deciding on who to vote for in this Republican primary, you got to ask yourself, okay, who's got the best chance of beating Tim Kaine and who has the best chance of getting the most voters out, reaching new people in order to impact the 10th district, Barbara, the 7th, Dave, and the 2nd, Scott, all which are in play, and maybe even the 5th with Tom Garrett. Because if these flip, if you have a disastrous nominee at the top of the ticket and these flip, Trump's going to get impeached. It's simple and plain. And so we've got to find a way, as Trump supporters, we have to bring new voters into the fold. We have to turn our existing voters out, but we have to bring new voters in. How is E.W. Jackson going to do that?
Well, for one thing, John, not to put too fine a point on it, I'm the only candidate in this race who can stop the one thing that Democrats are doing incessantly and ad nauseum, which is playing the race card. They are going to accuse Republicans of being racist. They're going to try to scare the black vote into voting in unprecedented numbers. That's what they did in Alabama. And I know Roy Moore had his own problems, but that's what they did in Alabama to put the final nail in the coffin. They convinced those voters that they better turn out, and as you know, they turned out in larger numbers than they ever did for Barack Obama because they were frightened. And so if we nominate a candidate who frightens those voters, we're done. I mean, we're just that plain and simple. We're done. We've got to nominate a candidate who can go reach those voters and bring 30% plus of those voters to the table at least, if not win that vote, bring it to the table as with a vision for how we're going to help these communities come out of the poverty, the non-accredited schools, the gangs, the drugs, the murders that are happening in these communities, the stuff that makes law-abiding citizens in these communities fear for their very lives and fear for the future of their children. And frankly, there's only one candidate in the race who can do that. And also, you know, people have said, John, to be very honest, I've heard people say, yeah, but, you know, you got baggage, the things that the press talked about in your last race. And that is true, and I've got to answer for that. I mean, I've made clear that I wish I had not said in the way I said some of the things that I said about gays and transgenders and this sort of thing, that my convictions haven't changed, but my heart is open, and I want to express that to people, that I can be talked to, that I can be reasoned with, that I'm open to hearing all sides of an issue, and I want to make sure I respect all people. But here's the thing. People know my baggage. If you're going to nominate somebody on the basis, well, we need someone new, yeah, but if you think the press is going to give anybody a free ride and that they're not going to bring up things about people that you may not know that may shock you, you've got another thought coming. I'm a known quantity, and I can deal with what I know is coming because I've already had it. I've had the lies about, Satan and yoga. I mean, it's a complete lie, a fabrication. But this is silly stuff that we can deal with. But what we don't want to do is stake the whole future maybe of our country on someone who is unknown or someone whose main issue seems to be divisive. I'm a unifying candidate. I think I bring people together. You saw that at the dinner last night. I think moderates in the Republican Party can support me. Libertarians can support me. Hardcore conservatives can support me, whether national security or pro-life or pro-marriage. I can bring everybody together, John, and that's the kind of candidate you need to nominate if we're going to defeat Tim Kaine.
Well, I have to tell you, E.W. Jackson, I love what you just said about opening your heart. And as you know, I'm a pro-gay rights Republican, and I've been fighting this battle for a very long time. I have family members who are gay. I have a lot of friends who are gay, and I'm also pro-gay marriage. So, look, we're on opposite ends of that politically, but I appreciate what you just said because, I have my belief, you have your belief, but I think you got to open up your heart and you got to talk to people and listen to them. And, the gay members of my family that I have that are married to men or women, because I got them on both genders, they're very much in love. They have wonderful families and we love them every day. And many of my friends also. So I just got to tell you from a personal personal
John,
standpoint, I really appreciate that.
If I just say, you know me. You and I have gotten to know each other well, and you know there is not a hateful bone in my body for anybody. Just because we have a difference of opinion like you and I do on this particular issue, I don't hate you. I don't hate people who think about this differently. I don't hate gay people. I don't want to hurt them or persecute them or harm them. Look, if I become elected the next United States Senator, I'll be representing them just like I'm representing everybody else, and they've got to feel they've got a United States Senator that they can talk to, and they will.
Excellent. All right. We're with E.W. Jackson. I really appreciate that, E.W. We're with E.W. Jackson. Bishop Jackson, he was the Republican nominee for Lieutenant Governor in 2013, lost to Ralph Northam in that race, who's now governor, so nothing shabby about that. He's running for U.S. Senate in Virginia. There's a Republican primary there to take on Tim Kaine in November of 2018. The Republican primary in Virginia held on June 12th, Tuesday, June 12th. Mark it down. Last day to register to vote, May 21st. And the other two candidates on the Republican ballot are Prince William County Chairman of Supervisors Corey Stewart, ran for governor 2017, and House of Delegates member Nick Freitas, who has the support of Rand Paul and others. He's from Culpeper. So those are what your choices are. I got 5 minutes. Let's go to the Cohen raid by Robert Mueller. And
John, just before you do that, if you just give me 30 seconds to say this, because I think this is important for people to know.
Go ahead.
I am a candidate who supports the Social Security system. I believe that it has been abused, and I believe it's been misused. But I think we have a sacred promise to our senior citizens to make sure that we preserve that inviolate. And I believe that California is violating the law by refusing to cooperate with ICE, and that we have a constitutional responsibility and ability to compel them to cooperate. And if they refuse, I think they should be charged with a crime, with obstruction of justice. Now, I just want to say this. Not all the candidates in this race agree with those two statements that I made, and I'll leave it to people to figure out which one does not agree with the statements I just made.
Our statement is, like the president, you're in favor of preserving the Social Security system because it's a contract that's made. You pay into it. You expect to get something at the end. And secondly,
Exactly.
you believe that those in California that are resisting the law should get arrested.
Absolutely. That the Constitution allows the federal government, as the protector of our national security, to compel cooperation. And the idea that you can't do that, to me, is preposterous at a time when illegal immigration is one of the biggest problems we have. And if you have a candidate who believes that you can't compel that cooperation, then in effect you've got somebody who pretty much agrees with Tim Kaine on it.
Unbelievable. John Fredericks Radio Network. Let's get to Cohen, the raid, Robert Mueller. Are you in favor of the president firing Rothstein or Sessions or Mueller or all three, and why or why not?
Well, look, I'm in favor of him firing them all, but I think he can't right now. I just think these people hate him so much. And when I say these people, I don't think Sessions hates him, but I'm talking about these leftists, these liberals hate him so much that I think that they could use that with the cooperation of the media to precipitate a constitutional crisis. I think he has the right to do it. I think it would be the right thing to do, but it's not the political thing to do. So maybe Rothstein can go and should go. I think Sessions eventually has to go because he simply hasn't shown the backbone and the fortitude that we need in an attorney general. I agree with the president. He should never have recused himself in the first place. But look, John, I've been telling people when I get to the United States Senate, I am going to file legislation that limits the jurisdiction of any special counsel strictly to the basis upon which they were appointed, and they can't go on fishing expeditions and investigating anything they feel like investigating to justify their existence. I think this is nothing more than an attempt to overthrow President Donald Trump, and I think we got to put a stop to it once and for all.
I agree with you there 100%. This is a silent coup unfolding before your eyes. They can't defeat him electorally. They know he's going to win again, so they're trying to find other ways to drive this president out of office. It's disgraceful and disgusting. Let's get to Syria. Exogenous of the president's tweets, as you know, full disclaimer, I've been in favor of staying out of Syria since I've been on the air in 2012 when this thing first came up. So are you in favor of missile attacks, getting sucked back into it? What do you think?
Look, John, I'm a minister. I love people. I'm concerned about people, no matter who they are. We just had a little discussion about, gays and lesbians and transgenders. I'm concerned about them. I'm concerned about the people in Syria. But, John, we cannot be the policemen of the world. And as tragic as it may be, my principle is that we use military action only when there's an existential threat to the security of the United States of America. And if that's not the case, we simply don't start getting involved in military action. Now, I have the utmost respect for this president. I just don't see the justification for it, John, other than humanitarian. And as much as it tugs on my heartstrings as a constitutional matter and a national security matter, I just don't see it.
Well, I couldn't agree more. There's no strategic interest we have there. And I am totally unconvinced, and I've seen no evidence to change my opinion on this, that Assad was behind dropping this chemical barrel bomb of chlorine. I just don't think the Russians would have ever signed off on it. And I couldn't imagine that he would do that without their sign off when 98% of their military objective had already been met. And look, they've driven the remainder of the rebel forces out of Duma today. So it was like they were a week away from 100%. Made no sense. I got to go. People want more information, EW, on your campaign. Where do they go?
Go to ewjackson.com, just like my name, ewjackson.com.
EW, good to have you with us. John Fredericks Radio Network. We'll be right back. Stay with us.